Over the past year, veteran product managers at elite tech companies have quietly started updating their job titles. They are dropping the word manager entirely and replacing it with something else, AI builder. Mark Zuckerberg recently stated that by 2026, AI tools will reshape the entire structure of how operational work gets done at Meta. Historically, a product manager was an organizational coordinator. They gathered user empathy, translated it into written specifications, and carried that context across engineering and design silos. They planned the work, they didn't build it. Now, natural language compilation is dissolving that boundary. By using AI to compose working software directly, these practitioners are collapsing product development cycles that used to take months into a matter of hours. We have reached a point where execution speed is no longer the primary bottleneck in product development. The bottleneck is now system design. While surveys show nearly 90% of product managers use AI daily, only a tiny fraction are experiencing exponential productivity gains. The rest are falling into a trap. That trap is the AI augmented state. It happens when you use advanced language models to execute administrative tasks, like drafting a product requirements document, slightly faster. You are still locked in the old process, just typing quicker. This matrix shows three distinct phases of product management. The real leverage lies in the AI native state. Here, the workflow is entirely restructured. Product managers stop managing schedules and start executing system-aware strategy directly within the development environment. If we look at this matrix, we can see a blueprint for how the entire product lifecycle is currently being dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. Treating AI as a high-speed writing assistant guarantees obsolescence. Using it as a system execution engine allows a single PM to direct the output of entire agentic fleets. Let's start with user discovery. The standard approach is to export interview transcripts and CSV files, paste them into a chat interface, and ask for a summary. This approach forces the product manager to do the cognitive aggregation work twice. You manually gather the data, feed it to the model, and then rewrite what you already figured out. The AI native shift abandons retrospective reading entirely. Discovery becomes a continuous, automated diagnostic loop. The technology enabling this is called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. MCP allows an agent to bypass manual prompting. It connects directly to live internal data streams, pulling information securely on its own. Running in the background, the agent parses raw user feedback to identify nuanced pain points the moment they appear. At companies like Airbnb, product teams use this to evaluate listing quality. Instead of relying on generic star ratings, the system weights specific qualitative phrases from guest reviews, like dull kitchen knives, in real time. AI native research doesn't just summarize the past, it creates an active listening architecture that predicts user friction before it scales. Strategy workflows suffer from a similar problem. Teams historically relied on annual slide decks and boilerplate requirement documents to keep everyone aligned. Those static presentations rarely impact daily development. In the AI native evolution, product strategy transitions into an executable instruction set. This is done through system-level configuration files that live directly in the codebase alongside the software itself. When an engineer or an agent writes code, these configuration rules physically force them to align the software architecture and the interface copy with the exact strategic constraints laid out by the product manager. This mechanism eliminates the need to endlessly chase down engineering teams to ensure they are adhering to the original goals. As a result, road mapping shifts away from rigid Gantt chart timelines, moving instead toward fluid, continuous parallel prototyping loops. When strategy becomes executable code, the product manager's intent is enforced directly at the compiler level, making strategic drift a technical error rather than a communication one. That brings us to prototyping. The traditional process is high friction. Product managers sketch wireframes, designers build static visual mockups, and engineering estimates the cost. To solve this, Stripe built an internal system to bypass this handoff entirely. Using Proto-Dash, a product manager types a prompt and spins up a functional dashboard in under 2 minutes. The system runs a self-correcting feedback loop. It takes a screenshot of its layout, runs it through a vision model, and automatically corrects design errors. Product managers can now test real user data and validate complex micro-interactions immediately, bypassing the Jira ticket backlog entirely. With systems like Protodash, the conceptual divide between planning a product and actually building a product has evaporated. If AI conducts the research, enforces the strategy, and codes the prototype, what exactly is the job of the product manager? This graph maps a value migration curve, showing where human leverage is moving. The red line represents the total commoditization of formatting, boilerplate writing, and coordination tasks, skills now worth near zero. The blue line represents the exponential rise in human judgment, systems thinking, and artistic taste. Defining model safety boundaries, evaluating subjective quality, and navigating complex executive alignment are now the primary high-leverage human responsibilities. Professional value is no longer created by managing the schedule. It is created by safely and effectively navigating absolute ambiguity. To make this transition, there are 4 rules. First, design workflows around decisions rather than artifacts. Automate anything that has a clear definition of done. Second, ground all AI generation in retrieval using protocols like MCP. Ensure your outputs are based on your own internal metrics, not generic training data. Third, make strategy executable. Embed your directional intent directly into system-level rules that constrain development behavior. Finally, abandon the mindset of a compliance coordinator. Embrace the identity of a sovereign builder. Product leaders who succeed will be those who use AI as a cognitive partner to expand the physical boundaries of what their product can be.